Hi everybody, this is our first episode of Trust Your Data Talks. It's a show where we explore privacy, business, and technology and how do they affect each other. We will give you useful tips that will help you to build your online success. My name is Maciej Zawadziński and I'm CEO of Piwik PRO, a privacy-friendly alternative to Google Analytics. In this series, I will be sharing some of my technical knowledge in the topic. And here are my co-hosts, Gerhard and Cornelius.
Hi, thank you very much for inviting me. I'm Gerhard Kürner, CEO and founder of 506. We are a leading Upper Austrian marketing data science company. We help organizations in tracking, analyzing, and also managing AI-based anonymous and known customer data. And I will share my expertise in business and marketing in this show.
Hey everyone, hey Maciej, thank you for inviting me. My name is Cornelius. I'm the Group Data Protection Officer at eyeo, where we are dedicated to building technology that foster a fair value exchange online between publishers, advertisers, and users. And I'm here to share my expertise on privacy and compliance matters.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to have you guys. In our first episode, we'll talk about the privacy laws and how do they affect marketing strategies. And before we start, let's paint a bigger picture and talk about the key trends in the marketing and privacy. Gerhard, what are some of the key trends that shape the future of the marketing strategies?
From my point of view, there's only one answer. This huge shift to first-party data in marketing. As a lot of us saw in the past, what is happening in the privacy, in the data area, especially with the big technological platforms. Maybe you see what is going on, Apple versus Facebook, or what kind of possibility do you have to get your own data back from such a technology platform? So I think the major shift in marketing and maybe also sales and service is to get back control of your data. And I think the most and largest shift right now is that people are aware about their data. Everybody's speaking about data is the new something, and everybody's speaking of privacy and cool, but nobody knows exactly what kind of data he means and do he own his data? And as you mentioned, Maciej, if you use good analytics software, which is for free, that means there's a reason why it's for free, because you do not have any possibility to collect your data on your legal ownership. So it's not your data, it's the data from a US company and not yours. So the biggest shift is to the awareness and to start working with first-party data right now and the next couple of years.
Thanks. Cornelius, and what are the trends that you see in the market?
Yeah, thanks, Maciej. Looking at it from a more legal perspective, I see a lot of changes happening, mainly triggered by GDPR. So we have the European Data Protection Law, which applies since 2018, and ever since that we see a lot of new and very similar privacy laws popping up all over the globe. We have the California Consumer Privacy Act. We have other US states that follow that same example and come up with their own state-level privacy laws. We have a new dedicated privacy law in Brazil, which is to some extent very similar to the GDPR. It also has something called extraterritorial effect, which means it applies not only to companies in Brazil, but to all companies that hold personal data of Brazilian residents. So like GDPR, it goes beyond only the offices in that jurisdiction. And then you have new privacy bills and initiatives in places like China or India, where you cover literally billions of users. So all that, legally speaking, is a clear shift to more privacy regulation, and it comes with certain compliance that companies need to step up to. And having said that, I think it will definitely not go away, but rather become a more pressing issue for companies around the globe.
Thanks for sharing that. We'll speak in about how to go about these challenges in a second, but I want to add a couple things from the technology trends. First of all, we see that there is shift from third-party data in online marketing, so shift away from third-party data. In particular, a lot of technologies that were used for example, remarketing are becoming obsolete or have to be replaced. We see the changes in app stores, such as one in the Apple App Store, where the tracking becomes more heavily limited. And in general, we see that the first-party data becomes more important, but at the same time, we see that there is a big rise in the walled gardens, which rely on the first-party data, but there are some other privacy issues with that we'll certainly cover. So with having this trends in mind, let's maybe speak a bit about the challenges that organizations face with privacy compliance while they are shaping their marketing strategies. So Cornelius, let's start maybe with the privacy perspective. What are the challenges that the companies face shaping their marketing strategies?
Yes, that's certainly a good question. A lot of minds try to wrap their head around. From my perspective, what is key with all new laws is first of all a proper assessment, right? So that's not only privacy related. When you have new legal requirements, you need to first assess them. You need to figure out how your businesses or processes or products fall under this law. And then in the final step, you need to find out what to do about that and how you become or stay compliant. Regarding to your question and this mix of privacy laws and the marketing field, what I see as a growing challenge is the need to put really the user interests first. So far, we see often that the users are not really in the equation when it comes to how marketing or online advertisement is done. And this is something that is shifting right now, and it's a key challenge to do that shift as a company. Not only because otherwise you have some compliance issues at one point, or you won't adhere to any certain standards or industry standards anymore, but also we see on the user side, it becomes more and more clear that users want to be part of a system where their own preferences matter, where their own indications on privacy matter, and they don't want to be part of a system where they have to give up control over their own data. So for me, one key challenge is really to focus the shift onto the user.
Mm-hmm. That's very interesting. So Gerhard, what are the challenges that you see when you work with your clients shaping these marketing strategies?
I think the most reason also to think about first-party data, and also not from the legal side as Cornelius, but this is a pure pressure since, let me say, the last 2 years, but from the market there's an additional pressure. When you take a look to the analytic problems between tech platforms, e.g. Apple and Facebook, maybe everybody's heard about that, as Apple switched for privacy reason the possibility to track via apps, or you have to give them consent, and there are different numbers, but I do not see any number which is higher than 12% for tracking. Nobody knows exactly what that means, but there are figures behind them. And one of the last figures I saw is that for apps and also for advertising, they are losing since then till December around $10 billion. And on the other hand, the advertising in the Apple Store or on Apple is tripling since then. So it's not only the privacy issue, there's a huge amount of money which is behind that. And the real problem on that case is that to find out the real customer journey, it's pretty hard right now because there's a lot of MarTech in around, but nobody can really track and see the real customer journey consent base. So I think we will have this issue the next, not months, the next years.
That's quite staggering numbers. Maybe from the technical side, what I see is there are more and more issues with prospecting campaigns, because when you have first-party data, that's usually your customers or at least visitors to your site, but you have to acquire them somehow, and that was very often third-party data that was supporting the process of media buying, and now that's gone or not compliant or not technically possible due to demise of third-party cookies and IDFA. So that's becoming an issue. We cannot also do outbound effectively, and more and more like companies use, for example, LinkedIn for outbound, Facebook or Google for prospecting. So more and more control goes into the big tech, and I think the biggest problem that is ahead of us is figuring out the acquisition of the new clients, because everything else we can do maybe even better with first-party data, but the acquisition will be is a new challenge, and there are some interesting approaches like zero-party data or contextual or other methods, but none of them proven or widely adopted at scale. So having in mind this challenges, let's maybe share with our viewers some of the solutions that they can adopt or consider adopting. Gerhard, let's start with you. What do you have to recommend to our viewers how to overcome the challenges that we just spoke about?
Thank you very much. I love this question because, as you mentioned, in the area of customer acquisition, you are fully in hand of tech platforms. So there is no real possibility to get them a competitive advantage in that area. It's sometimes a little bit silly, but on the other hand, if you do an advertising in a newspaper, it's also the same. One hand, the other hand, and you are on an equal situation. I think the extreme crucial situation, and not everybody is really aware of that, is the real consent-based tracking of the customer journey. And when I mean consent-based, I do not mean on behalf of legal reason, because it must be GDPR. I think that must be done. Everybody must be clear that there is no gray area possibility. Stop that. On the other hand, a real data-driven sales and marketing, starting with the consent and with the collection of that consent-based data. And that's the beginning of the journey in that area. So the consent-based and also the, let me say, saved in the data area consent in that I know when and where did I get that consent is really crucial for the customer journey. And I think this it's not the technical problem, it's more or less an awareness problem, because people sometimes see that area only on legal reason, and they do not have a clue that your data journey starts with the consent on your website or shop.
Mm-hmm. So I think this is the topic where Cornelius can also chime in with some privacy-focused tips, especially in the area of consent, but maybe much beyond that.
No, you're right, and I would like to react on what Gerhard said, which I think is very important. And it is the fact that privacy laws usually provide you with different legal basis for your data processing, and consent is one of the key ones there. And what I would like to see more, and I think this goes hand in hand with what Gerhard said, is that this consent should be given really in a valid form. So the law gives some specification on consent. It has to be informed, so the user has to some level at least understand what he or she is consenting to. I think there's a huge problem in the market because this is de facto not happening. And we also see around consent a lot of problems when it comes to dark patterns. So when you think about cookie pop-ups or banners and people try to opt out of cookie tracking, and the way they are asked or the way the color code on the cookie pop-ups or banners look like, they are tricked in accepting them, not on purpose again. So I think there we will hopefully see a lot of more best practices in the market around consent, and with that you would actually solve a lot of privacy challenges. So to sum it up and to answer your question as a solution or as a tip, whatever a company is doing in that field, try to put the user first and be respectful of their preferences and choices, and not try to trick users, for example, when it comes to consent.
Yeah, I fully agree with that. And maybe what I would add is that all the changes on the technology side and regulation side also gave some of the new ideas for example, publisher to use more of data about their users, because it becomes more, there is some data scarcity in general. So there are more valuable what they have to help reach the brands, the right target groups, and that's probably like the only way that they can also fight with big tech, which has so much more data. And something that is worth watching, there are some other mechanisms like interest-based, like Flock, which like was beta tested and it was removed from Chrome, but there are also some alternatives like Cramps. And I think this mechanism will gain some traction in the coming years. And as a marketer, it's worth to watch out and be the first mover there. Yeah, I would recommend looking at that. And I think with having said that, we can start wrapping up. And Gerhard, Cornelius, perhaps you have something to add or something to share before we finish.
Yes, thank you, Maciej. I think everybody should be aware that we are really in the beginning of the real data area, or because in the past we very often speak about data from the others because they have the data. And as you said, and also as Cornelius said, I think, yes, of course, we have also to try and test to learn in the sense of convenience, to give the concept, not in sense of dark pattern or other ones, but to find out what is the best and transparent way to get the consent, and also to leave the consent if this is necessary. And I think everybody who is starting right now or is in the area to collect their own data on a legal base with legal consent and have a good data strategy, have a good possibility in the future also to get an advantage in the competition, especially in the digital area.
Yeah, I cannot agree more to that. As mentioned, what I found so interesting about these discussions we are having is that we are talking about the same issues with a lot of different impact from different angles. We talked about the technology side, we talked about just the legal compliance side, but also how we drive businesses. And I think this is something which will obviously continue in the future as more innovation will happen in that field, but it shows also the huge impact those topics have. So I'm very much appreciative of formats like this to contribute to the debate, and look forward to the next discussions we are having.
Yeah, and I can say that for sure we will be commenting on any news in this topic, and we have much more things to cover in upcoming episodes. And if you liked what you saw, what you heard, please share this episode with your colleagues, with your friends. And if you have any suggestions or questions, feel free to contact Gerhard, Cornelius, and me on LinkedIn. We'll be always happy to help. And for now, see you in the next episode of Trust Your Data Talks. Bye-bye. Thank you, guys.